What's considered public space and what's considered private? For the average Hong Kong resident, the answer can be quite confusing. The areas you see here, they're all considered to be public space, even though they are contained within a private development. But the public are often not aware that these areas have been set aside for their enjoyment. And in many cases, private property companies have attached restrictions on how these public spaces can be used. We decided to set up a simple survey to gauge the openness of these public spaces. It involves a camera, a tripod, and the goal of filming some of the city's sights. First up is Taikoo Place in Quarry Bay. Here's our cameraman on a public sidewalk just outside East End Brewery. Here's another shot of him. And here's what his camera sees. Within 2 minutes, a Swire Properties security guard comes over to explain that no filming is allowed. Here's another guard with Swire Properties explaining the same thing. The guard says we're not allowed to make images of the exterior of Taikoo Place because those images belong to Swire. We insist that we're in a public area and any images that we make in that area are considered to be a part of the public domain. The guards leave us to shoot, primarily because we insist that we're in the right. Here's another public area managed by Swire Properties. It's the garden right outside Pacific Place. You can't see him here, but there's a guard inside the mall who can see me videotaping in the garden. He doesn't do anything, which is as it should be. It was the same at the public podium on the 4th floor of IFC2. From this vantage point, I can almost see through the haze to the other side of the harbor. Again, the security guard has no issue with me shooting. But that wasn't the case just outside in Exchange Square. Here I am shooting images of the artwork Hong Kong Land have thoughtfully displayed for the public. A security guard comes over to explain that I can shoot. I just can't shoot on a tripod without applying for a permit. Both he and another Hong Kong Land employee claim the whole area is private and belongs to Hong Kong Land.
Yeah, this area, is it public or private?
Private space.
The whole area is private.
Yeah, for the Hong Kong Land. This all belongs to Hong Kong Land area.
Are you sure this is public or private space?
Yeah, this is private space.
I looked it up. I'm pretty sure it's public space.
Not the public.
Really?
Not belongs to the Hong Kong Land.
Exchange Square, as it turns out, was not on a list of public spaces released by the government on Friday, as that list only examined developments completed after 1997. Where we had the most trouble was in the public courtyard just outside the center, which is managed by Citybase Limited. Here is our camera shooting on public sidewalk. So far, so good. But when he moves in for a closer shot, the guard tells him he can't shoot. It's private property. We insist we can shoot because it's open public space. More security personnel are called. This gentleman said we weren't allowed to shoot with such a large camera or use a tripod. He said we would need to apply for a permit. And when we refused to erase from our camera footage of him explaining the rules, he called the police. But the police for their part declined to get involved, although one officer did propose to Citybase that rules for the area be clearly displayed to the public. We asked Citybase about this, and a PR official claimed they had no rules for the public courtyard. In an email she said, "There are indeed no rules imposed by our company to restrict the public to use the public area. So there is no issue as suggested to post rules in an area where the public can view them." But Citybase did say security staff would try to maintain a free flow of passage for the convenience and safety of the public. And as you can see here, our cameraman is clearly impeding others and threatening public safety. As for why the police were called for a non-criminal matter and why police time was wasted, Citybase claimed that this was to avoid a further escalation of arguments. But that's not an accurate description of what happened. Citybase called the police because they wanted the police to force us to delete the footage from our cameras. We sought to leave the public area, but the security guards insisted that we stay until the police arrive.
I'll wait until 6 o'clock.
What's clear in this debate is how private property companies view these public spaces and how the public see these public spaces are not the same. Your enjoyment of these public areas is subject to rules that are often not even posted for public display, unclear, arbitrary, or subject to the whim of security staff. And insisting on the right to use these public areas might just result in a call to the police. For the South China Morning Post, this is Michael Logan.